Hello and welcome to the Kubeflow community meeting for the 31st and the 1st of the 5th and 6th month. Easy to say. We've got a few items around 1.5.1's release and 1.6.0's release. We've got a big problem with the Slack, which is that no one can join it, which I will discuss some possible solutions, but it's not trivial. We've got a big change in the testing infrastructure, which I guess we need to figure out what's happening there. We've got a new conformance testing proposed by Google, who James will go through later. And we've also got the user survey still running. So but maybe we'll just quickly start with the user survey while everyone's here. If you're a user of Kubeflow, or you know people who use Kubeflow, or you just like the name Kubeflow and you don't know how you got into this YouTube video, then please fill out the survey. So far we've had 138 responses. The link is here, which in the video is in the description. And if it's here, then obviously please click on the link and fill out your survey. Other than that, let's kick off into the release update. So
just one question on there. If we close the user survey with just 138 or 150, whatever we get, rather than going for 200 and leaving it open and just doing an analysis on what we have now, I think that's a big number. 138 is a decent number. Is that okay? Do we have any objections to just starting to make some summary of our findings based on what we have? Or should we wait and try to get more? +1, anybody else? Anybody have an opinion that we should hold it open for longer and try to get more than what we had last year?
Are we still having any come in, or are they just not coming in anymore?
No, they still, I think we got 9 or 10 in the last couple days. So, I mean, it was kind of slow, and then it picked up a little bit over the holiday. Who knows what happened? So, I mean, I think we could probably get another, I mean, we could probably get to 150. It sounds like a good number, but maybe we just do a last call. Maybe that's all we do is say, hey, it's last call. And
yeah, I think maybe just next community meeting, we'll close it there and we'll look at the results after that.
Okay. Okay,
cool.
let's do a last call, and then we'll just close it out after that, and then we'll get up a summary. Okay.
So answer the survey next week if you haven't already, please, and share it if you haven't already, but tell people they've only got a week.
Okay.
Cool. 1.5.1. Any updates there? So I heard we had a quick discussion before the recording, but let's have that again. So 1.5.1, are we expecting it to come out soon? There was some discussion last meeting about it coming out in June 2nd, which is not very far away. Is anyone who's working on the bugs here want to raise anything here that they need to get this actually triggered and released?
Yeah, so from the development side, we had this PR 7779, the first link. There are some comments added, I think, in the weekend. So we'll look into addressing those. But we are mainly looking for support for the reviews. If we can get reviews faster, that will be good. So we can close on this and make the release.
How long do you think we'll need to get that out? Because it's kind of becoming a bit silly now. We're kind of waiting a long time for all this.
Yeah, I think this is the second PR. There was another PR which led to this PR. So 2186 was the initial one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, wait, these are the same ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
cool.
we plan to update the PR 7779 this week.
Okay, cool. So I guess we need to get Kimonos to trigger that release once you've got those merged. Should be good.
Yes.
So I'll say trigger release, or cut, maybe a better way to say it. Cut release once above merged at
So since we've kind of had some challenges on this, I just want to ask, what are the blocking issues, if anyone knows, to merging these two 779 and is there some approved? Who do we need to, is it all ready and we just need approvals, or what do we need?
It
So
looks like James is reviewing. Yeah.
yeah, I left 2 comments in the PR. So
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. We can probably, assuming that James and the people making the PRs can go back and forth. Hopefully we get that done by next week, if possible. If not, then because it takes a couple days to do the release, I think. So awesome. Let's just keep moving that forward.
Right.
Anything else that we need to add to this list to block the 1.5.1? Is that only the 2 PRs? Is that it? It's the only thing in the tracking issue that I could see. So cool. If not, let's move on. 1.6, the next one. So someone said to me just before that the dates have updated. So these dates are wrong, or are they correct now?
Feature freeze has been pushed back about 2 weeks is what I had heard, and it possibly could move even further, but right now it's a 2 weeks delay. So everything from June 1st is 2 weeks later.
Okay, cool. If someone can update that, that would be great. So just to be clear, so the feature freeze will now take place on the 20 something, the what, or the 14th?
14th. Yeah. Why don't we just put 14 there, take out the rest of the dates and move the final date back. Which would make it August. I just put early August or XX early, you know, there you go.
Yep. Okay, cool. So if someone could go through and fill those out based off the emails that were done, that'd be great. Awesome. Okay, what are the blocking issues for this? Was there any particular reason why that was pushed back? I guess just stuff wasn't ready, or?
It was the test infrastructure.
Okay, I'll put that as release was pushed back 2 weeks to give time to address test infra changes. Okay, let's come to that now then.
Yeah.
So I'll put that actually under. We'll just put it under here, I guess. Okay. So who's working on this? I see that there is a PR that was merged that disabled the old bot.
There's a new issue. I think it's 1006 asking
Yeah.
for comments from the community, which was also discussed, I think, 4 to 6 weeks ago in one of the community meetings.
Okay, that's cool. So I guess then that's a task now. For
Can we
here,
just
which-
look at 1006 real quick and see who's, you know,
Yeah. Cool. I'm just putting this here so we can track it. There we go. Okay, we've got it here now. Okay, so it seems like not many people have commented other than Jeremy. Wow, I haven't seen that face in a while. That's fun. I wonder where he is. Okay, so I guess what do we need from the community here? I guess.
well, let's read it.
Okay, so because we've deleted the old testing infrastructure.
Right.
So K servers moved, a bunch of other things have happened, but okay, so I guess we haven't actually decided on the solution here, it seems like. This is just
If you scroll down, there is like,
Yep. Obviously, this is the idea that that the working groups are meant to be responsible for their testing infrastructure. The problem being that there are a couple that cut across a lot of working groups testing concepts. So was there a particular, so I guess if the old classes have been deleted, then we either need to use a new thing or we need to do something. So anyway, the point is that I guess we really need to, and what we should do, the task here will be actually, we should send this out in a community discuss. Send Kube just to, so if, say a big company wants to sponsor this, they could help, you know what I mean? Request for solutions to be suggested on that issue. So that's definitely something we need to do. If someone already hasn't done it, I haven't seen it if they have. Because it looks like the issue here is that we actually don't have infrastructure to run it on, right? For everyone, I mean, that is. I mean, obviously, there's no reason why it can't be separated by working group, but still be provided by an external party. That's still fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you read that last bullet where your cursor is.
Yeah. So yeah, we're creating a not so effectively, they want to create a, so AWS is willing to provide credits, which is cool. But there's something about a non-personal account. Can someone from Amazon clarify what they mean by that?
Yeah, so I think it's more related to the community. So as you can see, the clusters were deleted because it was that account was I guess a personal account, and only specific people had access. So is there a way to use like a kubeflow.org email address to create an AWS account, something like that? So basically, we need a if we are to fund like an account, we need, first of all, we need like a working group who is managing that. And then we also need an AWS account, which is not a personal account. One of the issues said that, hey, that account has my credit card associated, and that will be charged if the credits are not there. Since that person is like no longer in the community, he's worried about that, which is valid. So is there a way to create like a common account using Kubeflow email address, something like that?
We don't actually have a Kubeflow email address. Can someone clarify if there's a G Suite license associated to the Kubeflow domain from Google, if there is one in the chat? I don't think there is, but I haven't seen any Kubeflow emails floating around. But that, is that the only way to solve it, or?
Yeah, I guess like that was the initial problem. Maybe like somebody can volunteer for the account. I'm not sure.
Well, I think what everyone's saying is that each working group should do it separately, which makes sense. So at very least, we should have one of these accounts per working group.
Yeah, that might be a good solution to make it like decent.
And then they just figure out how they're going to do it. So I guess maybe what we do is that we set up this logistics. So Amazon provides the credits in some way to each working group, and you set the limits or whatever else you're going to do, right? And then each of the working groups has to step up and say, I will create an Amazon account. But maybe the one thing is that you need to actually, someone needs to help people set up this stuff if they've never done it before, you know, I guess. But is there any reference to that? Like, is there like a documentation or something that can be provided to how to replicate testing infrastructure here, or because this optional testing infrastructure used to be at the org, right?
We might have like a few members in the communities, optional test infra deprecation notice tags a few people who are working on that infrastructure. So maybe we can take those people like help if we go to the issue that Anna has linked. Yeah, that 993.
Yeah.
So maybe we can start with like the other people tagged in this.
Well, I mean, there is documentation here, but I'm just worried that this was an org-wide thing previously, but now it's not an org-wide thing if we're doing it per working group.
Hey, this is Richard speaking from Google. So a few years ago, we actually had this whole pipeline working on GCP. So, but I think it was probably turned on, but I can take a look and see if we can revive it.
Yeah, so Google got rid of that because they didn't have anyone to maintain it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get people to maintain it at Google. So
I mean, that's one of the options as well. I mean, it's nice if what we could provide is both the option of people using Amazon and Google. And because, like, for example, people might want to test Kubeflow on Amazon and Google, the two most popular things, right? So, so I guess both options should be available to working groups if they want it. But some of the automated pre-submit tests, it would be great if someone could run them. I don't mind who runs them. Just if you have a, if you want to, and Google's able to, I guess let's comment on this and discuss if you could do some internal discussions around what's possible.
Yeah, I'll follow up on this.
Yeah, so specifically, and anyone watching as well, please comment on the issue 1003 on Kubeflow testing. And that's PR, sorry. On the
1006, right?
1006, sorry, yep.
Okay.
And 1006. And so please update if you have anything you can offer. I guess Google and Amazon make the most sense, but let's move on. Okay, cool. So round one.
Hold on for 1 second. This seems to be a critical issue. It's a blocker. It's a P0 issue, in my opinion, at this point, right? I would propose that maybe there's a meeting or a series of meetings that are happening till this gets resolved at some point. I mean, maybe we naturally allowed this a little time to see if we can get it to fruition, but I would say Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. I mean, there might need to be a quick call every single day just to find out where we are with this so we can push it over the edge. This is stayed out there. Jeremy's comment that this has been open for years or whatever.
Also, that comment was kind of correct because we did adopt the Amazon infrastructure after that change, but then the Amazon people stopped supporting that one. So, I agree. So I think there should be a testing working group, or if there's not a testing working group, then a community working group who deals with community-wide issues.
I don't think that's the intention of what Jamie is describing. Jamie is trying to say that let's decentralize this infrastructure and have individual working group owners owning their individuals group and owning the test infra as well. So let's say Notebook should have their own test infra and Pipeline should have their own test infra. I think that's what Jamie's comment implies, if I'm reading right.
Yeah, for Scatter, we already start to build our own like testing infra with GitHub Actions, and but we may still potentially want to use the a bigger, because currently we are relying on the kind clusters, which has some resource limitations there.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can still use GitHub Actions, but just submit to an Amazon cluster, and you just
I think that's what we plan to do. Go that route. It's pretty straightforward to like replace the current testing file with GitHub Actions. We already tried that. The only problem currently we run into is our resource constraints with the current cluster. We have to done like a bunch of deployments to fit on the test cluster we have. The test takes a very long time because we have to run tests like pretty much in sequence, like before we can run like in parallel on the AWS cluster. But now we have to serialize all the tests, which.
So I imagine you're not running Prow anymore. We're not using Prow anymore. Oh, it looks like that.
No, yeah, we try to not using Prow.
I mean, that makes sense. So like, if you're willing to trigger your actions, this makes sense. And I think other working groups should look into this as well, which is if Google or Amazon could just provide credits, then we can, I'm imagining we could just set up an Amazon account and a Google account. In fact, both.
Matthew, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I think it would be good if you can run, build a test matrix, like both running on tests, E2 tests running on GCP and AWS. That'd be.
I think credit is the second step, right? The first step is to find the right sorts of people from each individual working group and make them the owners for this. And then we can discuss about the credit and we can talk to these companies and get the credit funded. But right now, we don't even have the individual owners owning from the working group and coming up with a plan that this is what they need. I mean, like, if you're asking about the credit, like, how much do you want from AWS or Google? We don't have that.
I think it probably depends on what each working group
needs. It depends on the individual working group and the test suite, right? So those owners from individual working group will come up with the plan and recommended solution and ask for it. And then we go and ask this individual credit from this.
Yeah, I would almost push it the other way.
I definitely think it needs to be the other way, yeah.
But you just say, look, you're going to get $3,000 or $5,000 worth of credits, whatever we can get. And you need to pick either you want AWS or GCP. I think part of the problem is people can't do both because they can't even get one up, right? They need to pick. They need a contact to get the credits, and give us a date of when you think you can have that infra up, or who you need help from. I mean, I think we have to be more explicit about this. Has got to be resolved, right?
So anyway, I think the best solution is exactly what the Amazon guy is saying, assuming it's from someone from Amazon. I couldn't actually see the name, sorry. The solution would be that we set up an email, or we just, set up a Slack channel or whatever, it's fine, where the people from Amazon and Google who are willing to provide credits are added in with the working group leads. And then we can have each of the working groups do whatever the heck they want, but they will have to create their own Amazon and Google accounts, or one or the other. They can choose whatever they want. And then they can trigger their tests using GitHub Actions. I think that's what most people should do. And then the only thing that will be lacking there actually is that unless they happen to have admin on their GitHub repo, they won't be able to create a secret that Actions can see, which will be needed to create the token credentials to connect to Amazon or Google, right?
That's okay. That's an individual working group problem, right? They will report like a particular owner, and they need to figure it out how to fix that token things, how to.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. I like this idea. Let's delegate a specific. Let's ask each working group to delegate a specific owner who will liaise with Amazon and Google, and we'll just put them in contact with each of the Amazon and Google people. If Google, I'm assuming Google is willing to give credit. Sorry, I'm kind of preempting that. And then at very least with the Amazon person, and then that one person can work with Amazon to get those credits and then set up the account, and each working group can then go back and set up their own Amazon account. So what I would expect to see is that each working group would have their tests in their repos, and those tests would be triggered to run on external, mostly Kubernetes clusters. So it won't be spinning up random things, but mostly a Kubernetes cluster. And those Kubernetes clusters can run either in GitHub Actions, which are free, but are quite resource limited. They can run in Amazon in that person's account with the credentials that are added to the repo for that working group's account. Or they can run on the Google or Amazon. That's what I'm trying to say, both of those two. So but Amazon and Google are not running the infrastructure. The working groups are running the infrastructure. And they're just given a constraint of credits. And so we could probably set up a group which helps the working groups do this better, but in reality, it is the working groups to figure it out, to be honest. So I think the first step is we have a request that goes out to every working group to delegate one person as their testing owner. And then we put them in contact with Amazon. Is Amazon willing to do that?
Sure, we can figure this out. Like, let's get this data and we can find out the details. Of course, Amazon also has some open source community credits, and we can circle back internally and get back to the data. But unless until I have the data in terms of like what's being asked, I don't know like what I will ask internally. So that's what I need the data from working group.
Well, realistically, can't we just make a number? I mean, can't we just say, look, you get $3,000. If they go over that number, we'll go and ask for more. But I mean, is there a number that you can comfortably get for the 5 working groups?
But Josh, here's the thing, like we don't even know what will be running. Yeah.
So the thing we'll be running, I can tell you categorically, the 2 types of things that'll be running are EKS clusters, maybe a few EC2 instances, but not many.
No, that's not the point, Matthew. What I'm trying to say is, unless until you have the honors, we will fall into the same.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So what I'm going to ask everyone to do, every working group is going to put forward one person who will be the responsible party for that working group, and they will talk to you, and potentially Google as well, if Google comes on board.
Sounds good to me.
And that seems like the best solution. Cool. So I will liaise with the notebooks working group, and we'll see who's there. Pipelines can do whatever they want, but Pipelines also has access to Google stuff already, so they may already want to use Google as well. But yeah, so if we could, let's I guess that's the next step then, is so okay, can anyone in this call, I mean, probably we don't know in this call, but like let's say have one person stand up from each WG to be the testing manager who will be put in contact with AWS GCP about getting credits applied to their to an account which they create, which the cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Okay, by when though?
So I think we need to have this by like, no, tomorrow. We can probably have this by like a day or two. It really shouldn't be that hard to just have one person stand up, because everyone can just delegate someone, and they can change that person if they need to. But just like, everyone needs to delegate someone, assuming they want it. Pipelines is the only one which I think may not want it, but we'll have to see.
I'd say Friday morning, gives them enough time, right? Today's Tuesday. Try to get it.
Cool. What's the best way to contact everyone? Probably Kubeflow discuss, and we could just directly email each working group maybe as well, but like, so.
And who got them? Who can you help us get an AWS contact, or is there?
Yeah, I will check Josh on this and get back to you maybe sometime this week.
All right, so I want to avoid any race conditions. We've got stuff in this. We probably have in the release team. We have a Slack. We have GitHub issues. We probably need to focus this down into one place where people are. I kind of like the idea of putting on a Slack channel, but
I can make a Slack channel that just has all the owners in it, and I'll do that. But I don't know if everyone follows Slack. Some people have their Slack notifications turned off.
Let's just ask. Go ahead.
Hey, I would like to add like one more point to this, so we reduce the back and forth. I messaged a line. Probably you can like add this.
So that's actually what that second one is.
Yeah. So specifically, we'll need an entry of AWS pricing calculator. So can you please mention that?
Yeah. AWS pricing calculator, that is the costs for their testing infra. So So and then once you have that, you can contact a single testing manager who will be the point of contact between AWS GCP and their working group about credits. etc. Cool. Okay, that sounds good. And then,
thanks, Colin.
And then other than that, I think that's probably, so we also need Amazon to then actually have a person who we can put in contact here. So who will they send this to? Send this pricing information to XXX person at Amazon.
Yeah, just put TBD person at Amazon to person at Amazon TBD. But as long as we have it on the Slack channel, we'll be able to pick it up.
Yeah, cool. And then I'll put this. I'm going to say one is actually make a Slack channel for testing with all WG leads. Each WG delegates a testing manager. The testing manager creates an Amazon pricing estimate estimate. And that's cool. Okay, let's move on. Sorry. This is very important, but I think these are the things that we need to do. Anyone else got any ideas here that we need to finish off before we move on? I can put the link to the calculator. Okay, cool. So the most important problem other than this is that the Slack invite doesn't work right now, and I'm getting absolutely spammed with issues because the website tells people to raise issues when there's Slack invite, it's not working. The problem is that Slack has changed the way invites work in their endless quest to kill open Slacks. Which, I mean, does raise the point we should probably move to Discord. That's what everyone else has done. We should probably do it as well. All the other big open source projects, that's what they do. And I don't mean big in like infrastructure space. I mean like big in the open source space, just more generally. It's just more friendly and administratable. So we should discuss that as well. But in the short term, we need to address the problem of people being unable to join. There's like 3 possible options. The first is really painful, is that we just keep manually updating the link every time 100 people join, because now the link limit is 100. The second option is very easy, and I've tested it works on another Slack, is there is a open source project that is like an app for Slack, which allows automatically, it creates a website that lets you invite, which lets one of the members of the Slack automatically be inviting people, but we have to be able to add an app for this. So this comes back to my second point, which is that currently we are at the app limit on our Kubeflow Slack. We have no more space for more apps. Most of the apps are not being used, so they can be removed, but only organization owners can remove them. And as far as I can tell, there is no current active organization owners. I'm an admin, but I'm not an owner, so I can't remove these other apps that are not being used and to fill up a space for an app to invite people. So I can find is anyone in this chat an organization owner or willing to make me one as well, like so that we can get this resolved?
You're talking about Kubeflow, right?
The Kubeflow Slack, yeah. So like I know David Aronchik was the original creator of it, so we can get him to add it.
You know who are the owners?
I'm like half owner. I'm like an admin.
Yeah, but do you know who is the owner?
I can check. I can do it on a separate screen. But yeah, let me just I'll give you the list. The list is workspace settings. Okay. Let me just get the page up before I don't dox myself. User manage members. Okay, filters.
James,
workspace.
I think you are one of the owner.
Here are the
and
people here
as well.
Oh, I'm an owner.
So we've
Yes.
got the only one who's active is David. Active means you've actually been on the Slack recently.
I see. So it looks like I'm the only one.
But is this your email still?
Yes, this is my email.
I mean, if you're willing to, we can work together to clean up. We should clean up some of these owners because there seems like a lot of people here who aren't involved anymore. And it's a bit dangerous to have their accounts have super admin. And I mean, if you're willing to make me an owner, I can work to get this fixed like today. But like the problem is that what I'll need to do, so I've got 2 options. The first, and this comes back to my third option, which is the silly option I don't think is a good option, which is just making a link every 100 invites. The second option is we use a bot to do that. And the last one is we can actually make our own bot using kind of an undocumented API kind of, which is that we just make a page which redirects you to a link every time you click on it. And then we just make a GitHub action that kind of regularly updates the one that it redirects you to. And we can just link the Slack invite to that rather than to the actual Slack invite. Which I can do this one. So the option 3 I can do if no one was willing to make me an admin.
So it's option 2. I mean, what's the advantage of option 3 versus option 2 other than the
Well, option 2 is that I can do this in like 10 seconds. If someone removes the app that's required to removes one of the apps so that I can add this app to the Slack, then I've tested this with another Slack, and what this does is this: whoever invites the bot, what happens is it creates a website that people can go to and enter their email, and then it invites that email to the Slack on the behalf of the user who invited the bot to the Slack. But you can actually change who that is. These guys charge $9 a year because they just run it on some like Amazon, because it does need to host that website. We can actually fork it and host it ourselves if we wanted to, but in the interest of getting it done quickly, I think we should just like, they could give you like a couple month trial as well. So it's like, whatever. So this is what, for example, the Airflow Slack uses.
Okay, I think it feels to me like number 2 seems
very easy. It's very
Very easy. Yeah. So maybe let's do number 2. I don't think I can make you an admin, but I can do whatever that's
No,
needed.
if you're an admin, you definitely can.
No, I'm not saying like permission wise I can, but I don't think I should. That if that makes sense.
Sure. We should then maybe the solution there is to, well, we should probably clean up a lot of these admins. That is a problem.
Sure.
But there's also a lot of other ones as well. Like if we remove these ones, these are these are mostly active actually, but
yeah, I can take a look at the admin list and then make sure.
Yep. So in any case, if we could also then go to the apps and just remove pretty much everything. This one's weird. I don't understand what this is. This is like, I've always been concerned about this app because it like syncs all the messages into some other random service. And I've been always wondered about what this is. But we can probably remove pretty much.
Okay.
We can definitely remove. Oh, so this one doesn't work anymore. This was one of the old ways that someone tried to make an inviter. We can definitely, if you just want to remove one, remove this one because this does not work.
Okay, can you send me the link to this page? Yeah, okay, you can do that now.
I'll just paste it in the chat. No one else will be able to access it but you. So.
And all he has to do is deactivate this app or delete it?
Yes, and then once you do that, I will trigger attempting to add this one, and then you have to disapprove that request. And then I can then update the Kubeflow website to link to this website rather than to the link, and then it will work. But it will mean that everyone will, I might get spammed a bit. But once we'll do the first approach there. We can also make a separate like inviter if we don't want to have someone's name always be spammed. Like, because otherwise it says Matthew is inviting you, and it's like really annoying, I imagine. So people probably ping me every time otherwise.
So the one to remove is Slack and Kubeflow, right?
Yeah, which is no longer supported. So Slack. So the other thing is, this comes back around. I forgot to say in this discussion, but Slack also removed the ability to do this using a bot. So while Kubernetes Slack has this interesting inviter, it will actually stop working very soon. So they'll also have to fix this as well.
Okay, so it's removed.
Okay, cool. So then I will add this. I'm just gonna do it on a separate screen so it doesn't dox me. Okay, wait. So have you? Oh, maybe I need to refresh because you've. Oh wait, is there still more than 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. How we've actually exceeded? So you need to remove 3 more. I guess remove Dropbox. We don't need that. I don't know what Slack term is. I don't think that's a thing. So I think we can probably remove a lot of these aren't even approved. So just remove all the non-approved ones because they're not even running.
Okay, so 1 sec.
Sorry everyone for this. Let's move on to this. We can do this after the call. Okay. So conformance testing. Oh wait, James is also involved in that. Sorry.
Okay, let's see, Slack term, Twitter.
Just anything that's not approved because it's not even going to be running. So.
Hey Matthew, can you click on load more?
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. It just kind of.
Okay, there was this app. I don't know like how it joined the Slack community, but it did spam like some of the channels.
Oh, which one? Element Bridge? I'm guessing it's this one, right?
It's called Trader DWIT. That was the name on the profile.
Oh, that's okay. So the problem is, so this is another reason why Slack is not a great option. I've always been surprised that we haven't been a target, but we're not currently getting spammed, like crypto scam. It's really common that people will just hundreds of bots will join a Slack and just start spamming crypto spam and stuff like that. You can't really address that without being it's just not really possible to address because Slack doesn't provide you the tools you need to stop those sort of things. Discord does. Like, for example, we can't require that someone verifies their identity with a mobile phone number, which makes it a lot harder to do that. Or makes them have to do a capture, like a capture when they start doing weird things. So we should definitely discuss moving to Discord, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, when I click on it, it says element bridge. So that's the first.
Oh, it is that one. Okay, so now okay, that's interesting. So Element Bridge is this, I don't know what this is. I don't know who approved it or what it is or why it's here, but it's like this, it's this other website which like mirrors our Slack into it. I think it might also provide history though, which is kind of interesting, but it lets people also send messages as this bot on our Slack, which is probably what you're seeing.
Yeah, probably that's what it is.
So we should definitely discuss removing this app as well, or just, you know, move to Discord and then, you know. Okay. Is there less than 9 now? 9 now, sorry.
So it did a bunch of things.
Yeah, cool. I can send it now. So I've added okay, so I've requested that one joins the Slack invite automation. Also, I'm happy to pay the $9 a year. It's fine. I'll just sponsor the project with that. That's fine.
So that proves...
Awesome. Okay, cool. That once that we can work on that later. Let's stop doing this on the recording. It's a bit intense.
Okay, I think it's approved. But okay.
If it's approved, then it'll message me in a second and we'll configure it.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is we'll make a PR on the website which updates to that link. Cool. I'll message you after. Okay, so conformance testing. Do you want to give a quick update on that? Sorry for everyone who's been watching. It's very long.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I think we had a kind of design review on the KFP side of the conformance test a while, maybe like 4 weeks ago, probably. So I've implemented that, and after that, I've added a test driver in the Kubeflow project. So this is a kind of a container-based test framework. So the KFP tests are now containerized, and the container is hosted. I forgot where it's hosted, but in some GCR repo. The test driver basically pulls that, creates a profile, and then run the test, waits for a done file to be generated, and then downloads the test report locally. And the test report is should be submitted to whoever's going to run the conformance body. So I think at this point, I think the framework is kind of ready for people to look at, and then starting to think about, also containerize their test, and then plugging into this framework. So I would like to ask the working group leads to take a look at the test driver, and if they have an API-based test, they can also look at the KFP test design doc to basically explain how it works. And also I also plan to attend the next AutoML training working group to kind of socialize this this work. So besides training, I think there's notebooks. Probably notebooks is the other one, but I don't know if notebook has any like automated test.
I think there are some, but I don't think they're more for the actual app itself.
Yeah, so maybe notebooks doesn't need to like create tests for this framework. So
I think we did talk about people being able to put forward tests, but I think they'll be different in the future. Yeah.
So is there any other working group I need to cover besides AutoML training?
KServe maybe, right?
KServe is not technically part of Kubeflow, but yeah, it might make sense to do something. But I think probably it makes more sense for KServe to do their own certification, if they want to.
What do you think, Dan?
I think KServe we do have like KServe component on the pipeline as well, so it will be good. Like we have a conformation test as well.
So what we can do in our conformance is just say that you're conformant with their conformance, I guess maybe. Again, this conformance is just to prove that you can call yourself Kubeflow, right? That's all it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like, I mean, there's definitely no requirement to be able to call yourself Kubeflow that you support KServe because it's no longer part of Kubeflow. Unless we think it is.
Well, go ahead.
No. So I think it's an interesting question. Now, I think for the first version, we could just try to include everything that's under the Kubeflow org for now. We can. I don't know if we have to make a decision now to include Kserve or not. So.
I mean, yeah, let's just start getting something.
Yeah. Basically, if you do include Kserve, that means you must install Kserve to be a certified Kubeflow distribution.
Because again, like we can't really say that because like we could have a separate certification which is like with Kserve, but then that makes more sense for Kserve to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Okay.
If you want to move that forward, then I guess we can discuss how that can be incorporated in. But yeah.
So okay, so then I guess training and AutoML, and for notebooks, I think we just need to come up with.
We need to verify that their notebooks are deployed or something. You know what I mean?
Some way to notify that, right? So maybe you can also think about like probably that's going to be manual. So maybe think about how to word that, and we can maybe work on maybe you can think about the test you want to do, and then we can think about how to word that.
Well, I mean, notebooks also controls like the central dashboard and stuff. Like so.
Yeah.
We should probably
the UI,
also verify.
Yeah, the UI based test. Okay, so also I think Richard is here probably. Richard. So Richard, yeah. So maybe like Richard, you can also take a look at the PR and the design, and let me know if some changes is needed, or you need, or any information that you need on this.
And this is for what specifically? These PRs?
So this is the PR for the test driver. So if you go to the files changed, maybe like just look at the README file. Yeah, the README file. So maybe click on the README. Yeah. So now, this is very concise right now, but basically the idea is like you install a Kubeflow cluster, right? And then configure a kubectl to point to that cluster. And then you clone the conformance repo, or I guess Kubeflow repo in this case, and there's conformance folder under that, and then you do make run. That's gonna run the test, and then run make report. That's gonna download the report, and then submit that report for review, and then there's a cleanup command.
So is this ready for 1.6 testing? Is this a P2, a stretch goal for 1.6? And then we'll make it a 0 for 1.7?
I don't know how fast the working groups are going to be able to come up with the test. I feel like it's going to be a stretch goal, right? And then besides the test, we also need to set up from process perspective, we also need to set up where the PRs can be submitted, who's going to look at that PR, and this is probably more on Google to figure that out. But first of all, let's maybe broadcast this to the working groups, and then have the working group come up with maybe like a rough timeline on when they think they can create the test.
So I mean, this testing framework, should we just get this in there and then tell people to add their tests into it, or are we going to try and merge that all at the same time?
So they need to do their own test, right? First of all, they need to create their own test, containerize it, put it somewhere, and then they need to write some code in this test driver, and then make sure that the driver can run their test.
So maybe should we get the driver merged as soon as possible and then tell people to add stuff to it progressively, or?
Yeah, we can do that, sure.
And because then it's pretty easy, because we can just tell people, please add your test here and chase them up.
Yeah, there's some small changes I need to do to the draft PR, but yeah, I can make that.
So yeah, in the short term, I guess the thing that we need to ask people is just to start thinking about what tests they want to run. Is that kind of the case?
Right, and then also look at the design, right? Look at the test driver. Let me know if some changes are needed. And then maybe also think about like a rough timeline on when they can get their test ready.
Will KFP have a version of this available, or when?
So, I mean, KFP already has a version available, so that test driver is tested with the KFP test.
Okay. So I see this as P2, nice to have, stretch goal for 1.6. We're moving strategically in this direction, increase quality.
Cool.
And then, you know, we try to get consensus as we build into 1.7 that this becomes a must-have right from the beginning. What do you think? Too aggressive?
That's fine. We're gonna move forward, I guess, and then let's just get it. Let's just make some tests. So I guess let's get this framework merged so that we can actually start adding tests to it. It's very difficult to add tests to it otherwise. And then we can think about what tests should be included in each PR, right? So then we're reviewing whether each test is a good conformance test. We should probably discuss that first before we start it. But yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, be best effort or you know, best effort at this point and just iterative.
So are any tests ready, James?
What's that?
Are any tests currently built or not?
Just the KFP test are built.
Okay, so they're in this PR or are they going to be in it?
So the KFP tests are in the KFP repo, right? And it's linked somewhere. Actually, if you go back to the agenda doc, and then click on the KFP test project, yeah, just click on that one. So if you click on this last thing, yeah. So this is like everything that I did for the KFP conformance test. It reused an existing test suite, API test suite, but adapted it to run in the Kubeflow environment. So I imagine like the working groups would probably do something like this in their own repo, right? And then the second, so this is the test part, and then if you go back, and look at the other issue, which has a link to the containerization of that test.
Okay. That's I guess that's the action. Any actions here that we need to move on then?
I'm sorry.
Just I guess the action is for you to finish that PR obviously, and then to also merge in to start the other working groups doing their thing. So I guess.
Yeah. So I will try to merge the test driver, right, and then the other working groups needs to basically do something similar to what the KFP working group did, to kind of create those tests that can run in the KF environment with the setup that the conformance test runs.
Cool. Okay. Anything else anyone wants to add? Because before we move on to we can close the meeting out. This is a bit of a long one, guys. Sorry. Cool. I'm gonna stop sharing it. Thanks for coming, guys. If you're still here, congratulations. Okay. Thanks, guys.